I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, USA. I currently live in Kiev, Ukraine, and I'm 23 years old. So far, as well as I understand myself, I understand that my purpose is to try to ease the suffering of any other sentient being that I can help in that way. I've always been that way. My father actually wrote in his journal, I think when I was about 3 or 4, that I was so sad watching news of the Gulf War that my parents no longer felt that they could safely watch the news while I was around, because I couldn't understand why people had to suffer so much. Money is kind of a game that was created by people who are competitive, and they like to feel the important, and their importance comes from being the best at accumulating money. Personal human progress is when you can look yourself in the mirror and be content with who you are, where you are, and what you are, and content with your capacity to change any of those things as you wish. And I think when you reach that point, that's personal human progress. I think one of the things that makes anyone important, maybe this isn't the only thing, but one of the things that for me makes me feel important is I think I have a good understanding of my potential, and I haven't let life and the rat race get in the way of seeing myself with all my full potential, fulfilling my potential. And I feel important because of that. It makes me important, being able to know what I can achieve. It's an intimacy that really can't be described or achieved in any other manner. And so I think to really feel connected with someone, expressing your love through sex is natural and necessary for feeling really connected with that person. First of all, I'll preface this by saying I think there are always more people who love you for who you are than you think. We tend to think less of ourselves than what everybody else thinks. So if I had to guess, I would say my husband, my parents. So maybe 4 or 5 people. But I know that there are lots of people in my life who I love just the way they are, and I don't think they know that I love them that way. The first thing that comes into my mind is the fact that I am paying all my debt, and I've resolved never to get into debt again. I guess if I had to be more serious and more contemplative about it, I would say I'm most proud that I didn't listen, or I learned to stop listening to certain people in my life and listen to myself more. The hardest was probably the day or the weekend, or the time my sister was diagnosed with diabetes at age 9. So I was about 10. And I remember, this was still when we were kids, so I remember thinking, I'm so mean to her. I pinch her and I hit her and I tease her and I don't share with her. I was, as a kid, I just treated her really bad. As my younger sister, you know, the sibling rivalry. And when she was diagnosed with diabetes, I remember thinking, she doesn't deserve this. I'm the one that was pinching and hitting and yelling and tricking her and making her feel horrible. And I don't know if I've actually gotten over the fact that she got diabetes and I didn't. And she kind of gets everything, you know, she kind of digs everything, and that's hard. When I was in high school, I was visiting an aunt and uncle in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and I woke in the middle of the night hearing the voice of a little girl, and I woke up and I looked around, and the room I was in was dark, but I looked to the side, and right to the left of me, the dining room was completely filled with light. This warm, glowing light, but it was a strange light because it didn't bleed. Like, it was only in that room. It was also in the kitchen, which was all connected, and not in the room where I was at. And bits of the light, like actual particles of the light I could see were moving into my room, but they didn't illuminate the room. It was just dark. And I was really scared. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know if it was a ghost or if I was seeing aliens or what it was. And over time, I've gotten used to it, and I just think that was really weird. I don't know what it was, but I don't think I was dreaming, and it was a strange experience. I think my idea of happiness will change. You know, I feel like I'm kind of young, and my answers are going to reflect that. But my idea of happiness right now, today, is realizing who I am and cultivating that. It's also family. I don't have family here, and I took it for granted when I lived in the US and I was close to them. So happiness is finding out who I am, and who I am, I've found, also includes where I came from, and I didn't know that before.
The Mexican coast, I see as I'm laying on next to bone. The daylight is breaking over the shore. I'll gather the pieces and hide them away. For my love, she's leaving me now. The kids on the street with bottles they're selling.
I'm afraid to tell someone, this one person, that I've forgiven them and I've forgotten everything that went wrong. And that I'm afraid to do it because I'm embarrassed that I acted so foolishly. But I just want to tell them that it was good. Almost all of my relationships with men have started with some sort of romantic interest, either on my part, his part, or both. So if you ask me about men and women being friends, I don't, without sex, I don't know if it's possible. Friendship in general, friendship to me is just having someone that, well, they sort of love you no matter what. And maybe a good friend also forecasts your needs. They kind of know who you are and how you react to things. But more than that, I think they're dependable. You know that you can count on them if there's ever a problem. And they're willing to take credit for you, to vouch for you. I think now I have more integrity. But mostly because I'm more confident in myself, and I'm not depending so much on what other people think, and as a result, I can be more honest and genuine, I guess. But I think when I was younger, I was a lot more insecure than I let people know. I want a couple things. I want, well, quite a few things. I want happiness. I want sex and beauty. I also want to be, I want to live a long time, and I want to be one of those old women that you look at them and you're like, no way. That can't be an old woman. That has to be, she's not an old woman. And I want to be I kind of want to just be vibrant from life, and I want to get as much as I can out of it. So that involves experiences, loving and hating and everything, trying to just be alive. Oh, and kids. That's part of living, I guess, is experiencing a family, having children. I regret a lot of the mistakes I made in that relationship with that person and the things I did. But right now, I don't have any regrets, really. Maybe one, but it's not critical because the person that it involves is actually one of my only true friends. And so I've kind of made peace with it, and it's not, I don't have any regrets. I feel pretty good. I think absolute power is, well, in a human being, is self-confidence. I mean, real self-confidence, not this feigned self-confidence that a lot of cultures create, but actually just being self-actualized and continuing that process. And so in any situation, you know who you are and what you should do. I don't know, I guess, because ultimate power definitely isn't money and weapons and influence, I don't think. I mean, it can be that, but that's different. Like if we're talking like long-term, lifelong scale, I think just knowing who you are and being, like having a conviction about it is ultimate power. There are a lot of things. I want to be remembered for teaching people about, I don't know, it could take many forms. Like, I want to teach people about health, but I also want to teach people about stress, like getting rid of stress and simplifying things to find balance and peace. And I kind of want to be remembered as someone that, like I said earlier, has reduced suffering or like brought happiness to people's lives in some way. I don't know exactly yet what that will be. I also want to be remembered as a good mother. I don't have children yet, but a good mother who was who didn't make too many mistakes. And then overall, like, a good friend and a great cook. That's what I want to be remembered as. I love my parents. They were really good at transitioning from the parent-child relationship to the parent-adult relationship, and I love my parents. They're fun.